Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here today in this webinar. We are going to discuss about the product owner's life, how to build a great product with a happy team. And well, we are going to go through very, let's say, a variety of subjects as well. But before going to that, I would like to introduce myself. So I'm Andreea Tătăruș. I'm a product owner at the moment. I have experience in QA and in project management as well. I started out as a QA tester for a gaming company, and then I made my way to being a QA lead for a team of 14 people. And then I migrated towards project management, and I eventually became lead project manager. And I coordinated teams and projects from different countries and from different domains, mobile projects, web projects as well. So I got some experience in that field. I've been with Pentalog for 2 years now as a product owner on 2 very interesting and quite big projects. And soon I will move on to a project director position for the Pentalog agency that is opened up right now in Mexico. So a new challenge coming ahead. I'm very excited about that. And yeah, I'm very fond of Agile. I'm very fond of design thinking, of Lean. And in the following slides, you'll be able to see some principles gathered from that. What we've managed to learn until now. So given the fact that we do have knowledge, we must share it. So just a small reminder of the agenda today. What we are going to discuss about is what does a product owner actually do? What would life be? How would life be without a product owner? What does it take to build the right product? And what's behind the product, which is actually a team? How to keep people motivated and how to make sure that everyone is reaching the same goal. And also how to become an even better product owner. Yes, don't worry, we are going to share the slides at the end of the presentation. You are going to receive an email with the presentation and the recording of the presentation, along with a feedback form. So it would be very, very good if at the end you can fill in that form so that we can know what we could do better, you know, the agile way, the retrospective. So the objectives for today would be to get more insights into the role and responsibilities of a product owner, to understand the contribution of a product owner in the process of building a product, and also see how this fits with all the steps that we need to go through in order to have a successful product. And all these connected with how a team can grow and work harmoniously together. So it seems very, very complicated, but there will be some lessons in product management. We will go together through these steps. Everything that you've seen, that you will see here, is based on our experience, good and bad, with working on different projects, different startups, different domains, and you'll see that at the end you'll still gather some ideas out of these lessons, and you can apply them on your project, or you can start step by step to do this. So let's dive right in and more into the product owner role. So the product owner is the person that acts as the, let's say, liaison between team and stakeholders. It's a role in Scrum that represents the business and the user community, and it's responsible with working with the user groups and is responsible with determining what features are going to be released in a product, what features are going to be developed. And what I'd like to do in order to better understand the responsibilities and the role of a product owner is to divide a bit two areas regarding responsibilities for a product owner. And there are strategic duties, strategic responsibilities, because the product owner is the person who works closely with the key stakeholders, is the person who needs to understand both the needs, the opinions, and the concerns of the stakeholders, the people who contribute to that product. They can be either sponsors, they can be product managers, they can be a board of directors, but also they are the users, the customers. Yes, I will answer. I will answer to that right after I finish up with the responsibilities, so that you can have a better view. Because beyond the strategic duties, there are also the tactical duties, and I will differentiate a bit on that. We have one question from one attendee. How would I differentiate between product ownership and product management? But I will get back to that. So among the strategic duties is to communicate with the stakeholders to ensure that their vision for the product is shared. Among the other strategic duties, there is also developing the product strategy and developing the product roadmap, basically prioritizing, selecting what's going to be developed and what's going to be released. And also to make some financial forecasts, tracking the performance, and also seeing what can be improved after that to the product. So this would be the strategic part of the product ownership. Another part is the tactical part that you've seen highlighted very much in Scrum, in the Scrum guide, which is mostly related to managing the product backlog. The tactical duty would be to maximize the product value, to maximize the value that comes out of that product, to make sure it brings business value, but also value to the users, and to make sure that the efforts of the team are in the right direction. So this means managing the product backlog, managing the stories that are being developed by the team, outlining and explaining those items for the team to make sure the team understands what's behind those items, that the team understands why they need to work on something, and that the things are clear and transparent for everyone. And also among the tactical duties of the product owner, we the product owners need to motivate the team in order for them to better understand the final goal of the product, the project North Star, to know exactly what's the vision, and we need to motivate and lead them into that direction. Another question that we got from one of the attendees is, what tool do I use to manage the product backlog? So there are different tools that can be used. It depends from project to project and from the requirements of that project. But among the most popular ones is Jira and the Atlassian package, let's say. But again, it depends. There are other people who might use AHA, for instance, or product board. So if you search for popular solutions for managing the product backlog, there are different options, and you might choose the one that's best for you. Yeah. Another attendee wrote in the chat that ServiceNow might also be a solution. So if you want to choose something that's good for you, you can just do a bit of research. You can look among the most popular ones. You can look for reviews. But my, let's see, my favorite is Jira, based on the options that it offers. And now to come back to the question regarding the differentiation between product ownership and product management. Well, I think they can be, let's say, formed around these strategic and these tactical duties. So I would position a product owner mostly on the tactical duties, and product management would be more towards the strategic part. The product manager would be the one who would see what happens after that, after the product is launched. Let's see what other products are necessary. So a more strategic perspective and a business perspective as well. The product manager might also go into the sponsorship part. So this is how I not necessarily differentiate, but we can say that product management is more focused towards the strategic part, and product ownership might gather more around the tactical part, although they can overlap. Although a product owner can handle the strategic part as well, and a product manager could tackle the tactical duties as well. Okay, and since we've talked about so many strategic and tactical responsibilities, there is one item, one image that I found that I consider to be very, very interesting. So another job title for the product owner would be miracle worker. So because there are so many items to be taken into account and so many items to coordinate at the same time, and it's not an easy job. And yeah, it's interesting and it's fun and it's challenging, and it keeps you up to date with everything. So we have one other question saying users always want too many functionalities. How to focus only on the functionalities that are minimum? We are going to answer to that question shortly when we are going to go through the steps of building the right product. So Sam, we are going to answer at that point, so we won't forget about that. Okay. So this is what a product owner does. These are the main responsibilities. Of course, they are not necessarily all, so this is not an exhaustive list. It's just a product ownership in a nutshell, let's say. So in order to further understand, yeah, we got another question saying, if a product owner used to be a developer, do you consider it a good idea for him to still look into coding details after he became a product owner? Well, that's actually a very, very good question, because as we've seen, the responsibilities focus mostly on backlog, strategy, roadmap. So in my opinion, a product owner, even if the product owner used to be a developer, the focus should be on the product part, not necessarily into the coding details. So if the product owner still goes into those coding details, it depends on the product owner how far he or she could go into the coding details. Maybe there is one situation where that product owner could come up with some suggestions, but I don't think the product owner should focus on the solution, on the implementation and the solution, technical solution itself. The product owner should be able to see this from a more panoramic and a more product perspective than technical. The technical skills could be helpful, but still the perspective should be one of product. Hopefully I answered your question, Rainer. I will come back to Sam's question quite soon. Okay, great. In order to further understand the contribution a product owner has to a product and to a team, I also thought about how would life be without a product owner? What would happen if there was no product owner at all? And I listed here some items so that you could see this. So without a product owner, the team wouldn't know exactly what's the direction they need to go towards. And they would start executing a bit blindly and focus mostly on functionality, because they wouldn't fully understand why those features are needed and why they need to work on that, or why the product needs that feature in particular. So the team won't fully understand that because there wouldn't be an expert showing them, guiding them towards the final goal, the final vision. Also, if there is no product owner available in the team, the notion of customer or the notion of user is no longer center stage. So that perspective, that user perspective, might not be a priority, or might not be something that the developer team would see. Again, they would tend to focus mostly on functionality. So a product owner is there to show them why they need to work on something. Because in the format of the user stories, as a user, I want to do something so that. The so that is extremely important for the team to understand. And that's the role of the product owner to cover. And also, if there is no product owner, the prioritization of the features might not be the best one. And the final product might not cover the needs of the user accordingly. Or the team might realize, okay, we should have prioritized something differently based on the user feedback. Another thing that the product owner does is to test, to validate if the assumptions with which he or she started are correct. So validating with the users, again, might not be something happening if there's no product owner in the team. And also, what we've seen in some other projects, the communication between the development team and the stakeholders might not be that effective, because the stakeholders will speak business, the development team will speak more technically, and there won't be a common language between them. So this means that there will be a gap between the expectations from the stakeholder part, from the client part, and what the team delivers. And the product owner, being the liaison between them, will translate the business into something that the team can handle, and vice versa. And also, as I said before, if there is no product owner, we might run the risk of not building something that the user needs, or not necessarily reaching that purpose, that final goal, that vision. And in the end, the product will fail because the needs of the users are not met, and we will end up with an unhappy team, with some unhappy stakeholders and clients, with resources used, and also with a product that the users won't use because it doesn't necessarily fit their needs. And one illustration, and then I will get back to the question. One illustration that I think highlights this very, very well. And I'm sure you are all familiar with it because it's been all over the internet for some time now. So a customer might explain something in a particular way, then the team understands it differently, and we realize that a completely different thing was needed after all. So the user's needs were different, the stakeholder needs again were different, and expectations, but the team might understand something completely different. What the product owner does is to make sure everyone is on the same page, that shared understanding is reached, and that everyone is going into the same direction. And another funny thing that I think highlights the role of the product owner is, well, we should put it, we should put the product owner on on a pedestal sometimes. So yeah. Now coming back to the questions, and then we'll go into the steps for building the right product. One thing is we got one question. Do you agree that acceptance criteria represents the key agreement that there is a shared understanding product owner client team? Yes, the acceptance criteria are a very good way of making sure there is shared understanding, but they are not all. So that shared understanding can be reached through communication, through conversation, because when we write those stories and we write that acceptance criteria, it is not enough for the product owner to write them, or we need to make sure that the team understands that as well, that the team comes up and contributes to that, and there is a conversation around the story, around the acceptance criteria. So both the product owner and the team can work on that, and also the client. But yes, at the end, that acceptance criteria can be a way of showing that we are all on the same page. But I think communication is even more important, and making sure the product owner communicates with the client and the product owner communicates with the team. And in this way, there is shared understanding. But yes, acceptance criteria is a very, very good way of doing that. And as Aline said, acceptance criteria can be detailed in more explicit scenarios. There can be, yes, they should be written by all of them. So my recommendation here would be, it is not enough for the product owner to write those acceptance criteria. It is very important for the team to read them and contribute. Those acceptance criteria that the product owner writes or the business analyst writes should be a starting point for the conversation. Or they can all write them together. It depends very much on how everyone is being organized, but it's important for the team to contribute. It's important for the team to come up with questions, to come up with ideas, and at the end, we'll see that the product owner might not have seen exactly what the team saw, and at the end is collaboration. Then we got another question. What's the difference between project manager and product owner who controls the budget and feature delivery schedule? This depends very much on how that company is organized. But I would say that the project manager might be more in control of the budget, and the product owner could help with the feature delivery schedule, because the product owner talks to the team. There are refinement sessions. The product owner can start working on a roadmap and can see in terms of the delivery how much we could do. And then again, depending on the organization, can communicate with the project manager. So in Agile, there wouldn't necessarily be a project manager. It would be a product owner and maybe a product manager, but it depends very much on the organization. Anyways, no matter how this is organized, it's very important for the product owner to know the features. It's important for the team to be able to estimate that in order to not necessarily forecast, but in order to plan, to see, okay, this feature might take us 2 or 3 sprints. We might adapt along the way, but we might get a better answer on when we can work on the next feature. Okay, there are also some questions regarding the product manager, product owner, business analysts roles. I have one more question that I would like to answer. Okay. I think there is one that we might be able to answer towards the end of the session, but I will touch point regarding these similarities and differences between product manager and product owner, business analyst and product owner, and so on. Let me think. Maybe this is something that we should address towards the end, because it might take a bit more time for the explanations in order to take each and every role and see what would be the differences and the similarities. Again, this seems to be a subject of interest and how we can distinguish between them. I will try to answer towards the end, so that we could cover all the other details and allocate some time for this. Okay, don't worry, you will get your answers towards the end of the session. If we come back to the agenda, apart from the responsibilities of a product owner, and how would life be without a product owner, there is also one subject that I wanted to detail, which is building the right product. So this might come to answer how do we know which features will be good for the users because they want a lot of them. But here I try to synthesize this into five steps, not necessarily 5 phases, let's say. So when building a product, it's very good to know that ideas are not enough, and good ideas are not enough. If we are talking about a product which is being built from scratch, you need more than that, because you need to do the research, you need to know your competition and your market. You really need to get to know your users, and you need to know what those users actually need, what is their problem, how you come to solve a particular problem for a user. So I think there is a research phase at the very beginning, and based on that research, you will be able to know what is the interest of the user. Because you might have a lot of ideas, you might have a lot of functionalities in mind, and everything might seem extremely exciting. But it's very good to do your research. It's very good to know the market and to know the users. You could do some user interviews. You can ask the users directly. There are different ways of communicating with the final users and seeing what their needs are. And it's very good to do this at the very beginning, because this type of research will confirm you the direction into which you want to go. After that, after you've done the research, you can start to plan and contour the product, the concept of the product that you want to build. You also need to, that's the point where you can start prioritizing a bit and say, okay, maybe I'll need to go into this direction. And you also choose what you want to build, and also set some metrics in order to determine if you are successful or not. So decide if success for you means 1,000 downloads per day, or if it means having 20,000 active users per day. Or you need to determine exactly what success means to you, so that you can know if you reach success or not. Again, these subjects are pretty complex, and I think they deserve a webinar of their own. but I would like to go through them so that you can better see the steps for building a right product. So until now, it's know your market, know your users, know the problem that you want to fix. Then try to plan and prioritize, build some sort of concept for the product. And the third step would be to validate, test your ideas. And there was someone who was asking, how do you know which functionalities are okay for the user? Because they ask for a lot. Well, you need to validate, you need to test. Even if this happens at the very beginning of a project, or if it happens after the project has been launched and you have a list of functionalities and you want to test them out. You want to validate if this is exactly the functionality that the users need. In case you are at the very beginning, it would be good for you to create some sort of prototype, not go into development directly, just build some sort of prototype, select some users, people, friends, family, depending on the situation, show them exactly the prototype and see their feedback. You can organize some usability testing sessions or user testing sessions so that you could see how they react, follow their reaction and see if they are using, yes, it's exactly some sort of proof of concept, yes. It's either a proof of concept or a prototype, something that doesn't necessarily require actual development. Just build something. In lean service creation, there's something, there's a phrase they use, fake it until you make it. So don't go into development directly, just test the waters a bit. Test what the users want. Test if what you have in mind for them is actually what they want. It's very important, and after validating and testing your ideas or your assumptions or the features that you think of developing, you'll see how the users react and you'll be able to make a decision. But always try to validate this. Listen to the users, listen to their feedback, but not necessarily asking them, do you want to use this? Just put them in a scenario, in a task, give them an objective to follow in that proof of concept or in that prototype. And at that point, you'll be able to see if the user can fulfill that task, can accomplish that task, or not. If the user encounters some problems along the way, or if that feature is used by the user at all. Okay, I will answer the last questions after that. So after validating, it would be good to start the development because you already have an idea of what the users want. You validated or invalidated your assumptions, and you'll be able to better decide on what's going to be built. And also after launching, listen to the users, listen to their needs, see what they, their feedback, see what their response is to the application, see what analytics you can gather and what information those analytics can give about the product. And after that, just, you should do it all over again. Do some research in case you want to scale and you want to extend. Just start researching again. Start building a prototype again, or and then validate it once again. So it's trial and error. And I think now I should answer the questions. The most recent one is it better to make a prototype on paper or with mock-up applications and draw the user navigation before developing? I think that is a very, very good idea to use mock-up applications, because with that mock-up applications, you can create dynamic prototypes and you can present those prototypes to the users. And they can interact with it. and then you can follow their reactions. You can see if there's a feature that they are not using at all, or they don't know how to use, and so on. So paper prototyping can be very good as well, but I think it might be a bit more difficult to present it to users. It might be a very good idea internally for the team to get a better idea of the feature itself or the functionality, but mock-up applications might reach more users than paper prototypes. Okay, another question is, the proof of concept doesn't allow to choose which features are minimum. So regarding the features that are minimum and that are necessary, they really need to be connected with the problem that is being solved. So if there is one problem for a user, you should try to see what features cover that problem. And if there is a feature that's only nice to have, it might not necessarily cover that problem the user has, and the value it brings might not be as high. So I think the features that are minimum need to focus mostly on solving the problem for the user. That's how I envision an MVP, minimum viable product. Okay, what do we need? What features do we need in order to cover the problem? And then we'll see how we can prioritize the other items, the other releases, but let's build something, let's build a prototype, or let's build an application that covers the needs of the user, the problem of the user. So it is very good to think about that problem. Love the problem and not the solution. Okay, we have another question regarding the prototype. What mock-up applications would I recommend? There are quite a lot of them, and it depends very much on the time that you want to allocate for mock-up and prototyping. You can use Balsamiq, which is very, very quick. It doesn't have too many features. The learning curve in order to use it is not very, very high. So maybe you need 1 or 2 hours just to play around with it, and then you'll be able to build your mock-up. But then there are other tools that can be used, which are more, let's say, fancier. They have different features. They can make the prototype more dynamic, and they can make the prototype look more real, look like an application. But again, you need more time to invest into that. One of those applications that I personally like is Mind, but then you can use Axure, you can use Canva. There are online applications as well. You explain, for instance, so if you just search on Google best mockup applications, there are pages which rate those applications quite well. And yeah, mockups is made in Cluj, and it's actually very, very good. So you can just choose the one you feel more comfortable with. If you want to create, let's say, more high definition prototypes, yes, I will type the one that I mentioned. And one moment. In Mind, Axure is actually the best. Okay, these are just a few of them. No, there are quite a lot. So don't worry. We can answer to all these questions. We can answer to all these questions after that in a follow-up email, because we've already spent quite a lot of time on this. and you'll be able to see the responses. So I think I'll have time for one more question that is written here, and then I should continue with the presentation and see the time available at the end, and we'll look into the different responsibilities for product owners, product manager, business analysts, and project managers. So we have another respondent here who says that she's a student and a new product owner beginning a project that doesn't have users yet. How can I be sure that the product will meet the expectations? We actually have a POC already, and I struggle with keeping dev team motivated because directions are not clear. Well, for you, it would be very good to make sure there is shared understanding and make sure there is understanding between the stakeholders, because if the direction is not clear, it means that the stakeholders haven't reached an agreement either. So what you can do here is try to do some sort of workshop with them so that you can set some very clear directions, and then see, let's say, do some sort of roadmap, see which is the nearest direction that you need to follow and what could follow next. Do some sort of prioritization. But I think I can go into more details in a follow-up email in order to answer your question better. Okay, and another thing would be coming back to this to the presentation, to the slides. These would be the steps, but it depends very much of the point you are in, but you should always try to find out more about the user, solve the problem of the user, validate your ideas, execute, and then listen to the user some more, and try to see how you can listen to them more. This is just a visual way of representing the smaller steps, how you can measure if you are successful. But then again, I think in order to go into more details about this, it will require maybe a different webinar, a different time slot. Regarding building the right product, some things to keep in mind is don't expect overnight success, because the road to success is quite long and it must be taken step by step. And the bigger companies that you can see now and the bigger products, they haven't been built overnight. There are years of work behind that. So even if you have someone with a very bright idea, just think that you need some time, you need steps to be taken in order to reach that successful point. For a product owner, it's very important not to forget the North Star, not to forget the vision, not to forget what's behind that product, because that vision, that North Star, can help you calibrate along the way. It will guide you. It will give you a direction. It will give you a hint if you are in the right direction or not. So whenever thinking about new features that are added to the product, always think about that vision. Always think about the North Star, what is behind the product, to make sure you are not going further from the direction that you have. Or in case you are going forward, this means that the vision might have changed as well. So you need to calibrate. That. Also, when you start this, when you start building a product, don't be afraid to fail. Mistakes happen, but it's very good to learn a lesson sooner than later. So don't be afraid if you found an obstacle, or there is a mistake and you need to repair things or fix things. try to learn something from everything that happens, and try to help other people's learn as well. So as long as you learn and as long as the team learns, definitely that mistake won't happen twice. So you will be able to grow and to build on it. Another thing that is very important, another lesson, is learn to say no. As a product owner, you want to build that product and you want to make it better, but there are times when you need to say no. You might need to say no to the stakeholders at a certain point, who maybe they are pushing to have something delivered very, very quickly, and you know it's not necessarily possible. You need to say no at certain points. Okay, we cannot do it right now. We need to plan it better. We need to prioritize. Even for the team, you can say, there might be situations when you need to say, no, this might happen. But saying no, not every time, only when there's a situation, only when, let's say, when there's pressure, when there's tension, when there are a lot of things to do, it helps you keep things on track. And of course, I've talked very much until now about a team. So there is no product without a team behind it. And the team needs to believe in what they are doing, and they need to believe in the contribution that they bring to the product. So of course, the product owner cannot do this alone. And in the team, we have developers, we have testers, we have designers, SEO, marketing, data engineers, and so on. And yeah, there is, of course, no, the Scrum Master is not missing. The Scrum Master is there. I will put it especially for you in the presentation, Ali. And each team member plays a very important part, and their expertise is necessary, and they are a vital piece in the puzzle. So as long as everyone believes in what they do, as long as everyone believes in the product and in their contribution, success is fun, and work becomes fun as well. And now we are reaching the part where we need to, let's say, look for ways of keeping people motivated. And there is someone from the panelists who found a comment about product owner is a role you play on a Scrum team. Product manager is the job. Yeah, it might be, yes, sure. If you come to think of it, I think it depends as well on the way teams are organized and companies are organized. Good. Coming back to the presentations and to the ways of motivating team and reaching the same goal. I think a very, very important part, and it's not, it might not be, definitely it's not only the part of the product owner with this, is care about the people that are part of the project. Pay attention to their needs, their feelings, their frustrations. Listen to them, try to understand what they are saying, because this will matter. It matters for people to be heard, to be understood. So you can do that as a product owner. So this is a way of showing that you care for your team. And also another lesson that I learned is to be an example for your team. And by example, I mean, don't ask of them what you cannot do, or don't ask of them what you don't generally do. And a very important thing that I learned is to take responsibilities for your actions and for your decisions. Admit when you are wrong, because we all make mistakes. We are humans, And it's very important for you to say, okay, I might be wrong with something, or I was wrong with something, because in this way you create a safer space where people feel free to speak and speak their mind and maybe disagree with you. And there's a space that lets people be more creative. And in this way, those teams will grow, people will get a bit closer, and they will become better communicators. And they will start relying on one another, and they will start helping one another, because they will know, okay, it's safe to say, I was wrong, we will learn something from that, and build upon that. And another lesson that I learned, it's very important to celebrate success, because that's the point where the teams see their accomplishments. They see that their contributions have been recognized, and yeah, all their hard work paid off eventually. So if you manage to reach a particular goal with the team, try to celebrate that goal. But make sure everyone is still on the same page and they are still moving towards the same direction. But yeah, have fun once in a while. Just take your time, celebrate, enjoy the moment, and let people know they've done a great job. Another important part that comes from the product owner is letting the people know where they are and where you want them to be. Keep them in the loop about the plans and the progress of the product. Keep them in the loop about the vision, about how much time is necessary, what is planned ahead, because in this way you help the team see that goal, see that vision, and you are guiding them towards that vision. Although these things might seem common sense, it's very important to take them into account. There might be projects or products or situations where you get absorbed by functionality and by getting things done, and you might not see things from the perspective of the product and of the people. So you should take a look at that and just take your time, go through this, make sure there is a safe space, there is success celebrated, and that people know where they are and where they are going. Another, well, of course, there are quite a lot of lessons that we can share. And one final thing that I would like to say regarding product ownership and how you can become an even better product owner is to learn as much as possible from the people around you. Be curious, ask questions. You can extract information from so many places. There is so many, there are so many sources out there, but choose what applies to you. Choose something that you resonate with, something that fits with you. And also surround yourself with people who know more than you and who can challenge you. Because once you are being challenged, you definitely you'll definitely make more of an effort in order to answer a question or gather some information or let's say deliver something. And another thing, let's say advice that I could give is to read as much as possible. Pay attention to the trends, read about new articles, read about what happens in bigger companies or in the very big companies that we see, like Google, Amazon. See how they do things, see what you can take from that, if there's something that you can apply yourself. So try to read as much as possible, because you will get some ideas. You will be able to start applying that on your projects. There's someone saying that what sources would I recommend? I can recommend some books that I found extremely interesting and useful for me, and even blogs. And we will put everything in a follow-up email, because I'm sure we won't be able to answer absolutely all questions that we have here. So in the follow-up email, you'll be able to see the answers. No question will remain unanswered. And one final point is go to meetups, go to communities, because you will be able to find people that encounter the same issues as you, or find people that can challenge you, people from which you can learn, and you can hear new ideas, you can hear new opportunities, you can hear new trends, and it might give you an idea of what's the direction into which you should start researching. So, well, I think this was it from my side at this point regarding the presentation. I know we do have some questions unanswered. Okay, and what I would like to do right now is, let's see, I'm asking my colleagues, the organizers, how much time do we have available, so that I can know how many questions I can take. One moment, please, and I will start answering the questions. Okay, so we do have time. Okay, one moment, just to get back to the questions. Someone says that in your email you could answer if you face a situation where there is no UX UI designer inside the team and depends on an external source. Okay. Yeah, there are people who will need to leave. One moment, because there are so many questions that I'm not cannot read all of them. One moment. So there's someone saying, regarding the technical skills a PO should master besides QA, what would you recommend? Well, yeah, in the area of skills for a product owner, there's a lot of things that can be done. And yes, a product owner should have some QA knowledge, because a product owner should inspect the product that's being built. Not necessarily test, but inspect. After something has been developed, the product owner should take a look, give some feedback, let the developer know if everything is fine, because there are situations when you develop something, and once you say it's developed, you might come up with a few more tweaks here and there, and you can let know the developer about that. Or you might find a few bugs that the developer can fix on the spot. So I think among the skills for a product owner, besides QA, not necessarily DevOps, but I think there should be the skill to understand what the developers are saying. Not necessarily be technical, but to understand when the developer explains something. Understand when they are facing a situation where they need to choose. So to understand what's the difficulty, and to see how you can ask some questions in order to make a decision, if necessary, from your part. Another set of skills that I think are necessary for the product owner, but again, the list is quite long, is some UX knowledge. The UX knowledge can help the product owner make the right decision regarding a particular feature or how things should look like. The UX skills don't necessarily need to cover that of a designer, so the product owner shouldn't be the designer, but the UX skills can help. can help in discovering which is the best way for the functionality to be developed for a user. So I think UX is good as well. QA is good as well, but not necessarily technical. It's very good if the product owner understands something about architecture, understands what are the newest technologies, has some knowledge about, I don't know, functions, methods, and so on. It's good to have that knowledge, because when a developer talks about something, the product owner can understand. I don't see them necessarily as mandatory, because a product owner can have some other soft skills and can help the developers explain things in a more, let's say, common language. But I think in the email, I will try to put in a more complete list of skills that a product owner needs from my perspective. Again, it won't be a complete list or a definitive list, but I will try to add that to the follow-up email, so that you can maybe see some sort of direction or areas to improve. Another thing, another question is, okay, there was one answer from Aline, which is very good. Okay, there is some other question. Okay, I think a lot of people have to go because we've been here for a bit over 1 hour. So maybe if it's okay with everyone, the answers regarding the differences between product manager, product owner, business analyst, I could answer them in the follow-up email in order to make sure we allocate enough time to that, and to make sure everyone sees that answer, because if we answer quite in a rush, we might not get the most of it. But don't worry, all the questions here will be answered. And if you have any other questions, of course, you can contact us. And don't forget, at the end, you will receive the presentation. You will receive the recording of this presentation. You will receive in the follow-up email all the answers to your questions, and you'll receive a form with feedback. We are very excited to hear what you think, what we should improve, what went well. So let's be agile. And thank you very much for participating. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen. And I hope you found a lot of details that helped you, would help you in the future. So I can only wish you good luck, and well, become even better product owners, or for the younger people interested in this position or this role, it's extremely interesting and challenging and satisfying. So thank you very much. Have a great evening or great day, depending on your time zone. It was good talking to you.